Okay, hi guys. So I'm back, and let me start with okay. I posted those things about how Starlink is basically all over our atmosphere, and it's so bad that our night sky has been affected, like stargazing and all that stuff that we used to do as kids, where you go out and, oh, look, it's Orion, look, it's the Big Dipper, look, the moon, look, a shooting star, the Milky Way. Or we'll never be able to see that ever again, purely because of Elon Musk. Now, as you know, before he took over Twitter and before he showed his cards and showed that he was pretty much working with Putin and Russia for entertainment purposes only, but we all know it's true. Before that, I started to get hits about him. That's why I don't like him, because the hits I got, and I knew, and then everything I pretty much got has come true. So I was like, I think the guy's got a little bit of maybe Asperger, uh, neurodiverse, but in a bad way. I generally think that Asperger, autistic people, and I feel like I'm on the spectrum, and my daughter is. My son might be a little bit, but I know I am. I'm Asperger's, and I feel like they're almost like angels on earth, like kids with Down syndrome or people with Down syndrome. I feel like they're angels on earth. They have such pure hearts and intelligent and creative, and they have their beautiful open hearts, and I love them. Now, someone like Elon Musk would be, I don't use the Asperger as, oh, he's doing all this because he has Asperger's. No, but I think it explains a certain disconnect. But I think he's just an a-hole, and he's egotistical. And I also feel like he is kind of like 45. He's in that same energy. And okay, so the cards I read were like, oh, he has daddy issues. He wants to control humanity. He wants to change people's minds and like sort of control, because he didn't like the way his father treated him. So now he has almost like this weird daddy issue where he's going to control humanity and how, whatever. It's some weird thing like that. And then I got that he was like Howard Hughes. He had that sort of OCD, if like this, I don't want to say genius, because he hasn't really invented anything. He's not like Howard Hughes, but he is, he's a cultivator. He knows when to grab something when it's hot, but he didn't really invent anything. But I also started to get, okay, when Ukraine was attacked by Putin, and I'd already done the reading and already gotten things about Elon that I didn't like. So he was on my radar. And then he said, oh, well, Ukraine can use my Starlink satellites. And I got this horrible feeling from spirit, like, no, tell him not to use his satellite, because he's going to use the satellites for Putin, for entertainment purposes only, to locate people's cell phones in Ukraine and masses of people, and they're going to get bombed. And that's what happened. Apartments full of people bombed. Schools, hospitals, groups of people hiding, bombed. And I was like, stop using Starlink. And like, oh, shut up. He's a genius. He knows what he's doing. You don't know what you're talking about. So then, when he started trying to buy Twitter, and I was like, you know why he's buying Twitter? You know why? Because Putin wants to control the narrative about Ukraine for entertainment purposes only. And all of us liberals on Twitter at the time were saying, trying to help Ukraine and trying to, boost up the American government to help Ukraine, because this was genocide. It was obviously like a Hitler-style cleansing of Ukraine. And you remember, and then 45, oh, that's what I wanted to do down at the border to Mexico. Women and children. I don't see why we shouldn't. Remember that? My TV just popped. Okay. So I was like, oh my God, he's going to try to buy Twitter. And he's going to take away our voices of democracy to help Ukraine, and helping, boost funding and getting the government to help and all their voices together helping Ukraine. And then the midterms is when he really took it over, with, for entertainment purposes only, Russia, the Saudis, and possibly China. Elon Musk. I was like, you know what I saw about Elon is that he's keep putting out these rockets full and spewing out, like, sorry, sexual, spewing out the little seeds of these Starlink satellites to make what Spirit showed me, a web around the Earth, around the atmosphere. Goodbye sky, goodbye privacy. And I also noticed that things like when your phone knew what you were thinking. And I don't think that your brain is affected, but I think our sort of like brain waves can be sort of picked up on. And I think his satellites were part of that. So when I would think before, oh, I sure would like to have a purple polka dotted pair of socks. Didn't say it, didn't look it up. And then maybe an hour later, look on my phone. Look, there's purple polka dotted socks. Didn't say it, didn't look it up. No one knew. It picked up my thoughts, my brain waves. And then after he put all the satellites everywhere, I noticed that became instant. I would think purple polka dotted socks or whatever, and literally look down at my phone and there's a picture of purple. I'm not joking. You guys have this too, so I'm not saying that it affects us. I think it picks up our brainwaves. This is AI. That's why he didn't like Google and others having AI, because he wants to control the market. And what did he do? He's saying that he wants to have AI. Why would we want Elon Musk's AI that controls the narrative, that not all the truths are in there? You know what I mean? Just like he wanted to put chips in people. And why would you want that? Knowing what we know, it's good that we know about him now, because now we know you don't want this guy's chip. Maybe someone else, right? That's vetted, someone ethical, not him. So the satellites. So I saw this story today that showed the massive amount of these Starlinks, and how just like constantly that we didn't know about our Earth, our sky, our atmosphere, spewing out his rockets with all these Starlinks, and it's covering everything. And what did he do? What did it say? It said that it's helping Ukraine on the war front. But then when they would get to crucial lines of battle, it doesn't work. Starlink doesn't work there. So then the Russians can massacre them and turn off their drones and everything's jacked up. So he would allow it to be used, his Starlink satellites, until it was crucial. And then it was effed up, turned off against them. They're jacked. The other thing, I personally feel that it has affected our weather, whether on purpose or not, for entertainment purposes only. But I just read this article just before I turned on this video. A physicist says it's quite possible SpaceX launch punched a hole in parts of the Earth's atmosphere. And they're saying a month ago. Now, the weather has been quite effed up, has it not? We have wildfires everywhere. We have oceans that are going to kill off the coral. If our oceans die, we die. It's hot everywhere. Or we have like a friggin', I can say here from where I live, severe thunderstorm out of nowhere. It wasn't in the forecast, and just out of, like, again, right now, severe thunderstorm watch. Here it comes again. It's like hot, dry, nothing in the forecast, and just out of, we have weather that we don't even know. And yeah, I do feel like for entertainment purposes only, Putin uses, like, why would you think that these satellites are just up there innocently hanging around? Well, they can't control the weather. They said on GMA in April this year, yeah, they've been doing it for years now, and they're going to keep doing it. Cloud seeding. They showed the planes. They showed the technology. They had a whole week. They talked about Ginger Z on GMA talked about it. And I was like, see, I've been telling you guys. Now, why would you think that Putin wouldn't be part of this. And all the places that are burning are places that are part of NATO. And here we are in America, hotter than hell. Our oceans are almost boiling. And, well, but I won't go, I'm just going to put that seed there, but I'll leave that alone. If nothing else, they're saying SpaceX launch punched a hole in parts of the Earth's atmosphere from a month ago, and now we have all this crazy weather. This is why you should never allow anyone to control everything. He controlled the narrative on Twitter, right? He took over voices, our collective voices, controlling the sky, the atmosphere, our internet, algorithms. God knows. And we already know that they've talked about how they can, geoengineer our weather. And it's true. That's not a conspiracy theory. It's the truth. Why would you think that he wouldn't have that technology and that it wouldn't be part of all his satellites and that he's working with Putin? The only thing I could say that makes me happy is that I know that I read from a while back, like months ago, that the atmosphere was like spitting out his satellite. So it's like, yay, yay for Mother Nature, yay for the atmosphere. I personally think we should spend money as an anti-SpaceX, now that we know who he is. Like, why would we allow him? Why would we allow this? It's insane. Okay. The next thing I want to say is, keep moving on about that. Moving on. If you're still with me, I'm sorry for my impassioned post. This makes me so upset. Like I said, I don't think that it manipulates our brain unless you're really, really manipulatable. Like if you're high all the time, if you're in the cult, you've been indoctrinated. Yeah. You know what I realized about like with 45, the reason why a lot of people are in the cult, why it was so easy, it was because they said, like when the Bible said, trust only unto me. Do not think for your own thoughts or have logic or, this or that. Do only as I say in the Bible. Their, religion, the Bible, their preacher would have, vote the way I want you to vote. No, you shall not do this or that. And they all do it. They all do it. So they're already this group, this sect of people who do what the church taught them and trained them to not have logic. I'm one of those people where I've always been like, the Bible said this. However, because maybe it's the Gemini in me, that I just could never sit there and go, because I'm like the story, wasn't it Abraham that took his son up on the mount and God asked him to sacrifice his only son or whoever? And I remember thinking, well, if God ever asked me to do that, I love you, God, but I'm not going to do that. I love you, God, but I'm not going to do that. And I think that there is something in that where you're able to step away from religion and go into your, logic and ethical. What's ethical, right? What's right? What's really right and wrong? Now, what you're being told. It's like those kids that get molested and and the guy, like in those old movies, like, do you remember the after school TV specials? And they would have, don't tell anybody. I'd be like, the first thing I would do is go tell somebody, this guy did this thing, or this person did this thing. That whole realm of thinking where, don't tell anyone, or you'll get in trouble. The first thing I'm going to do is go tell somebody. So, like we live in a world where 45 knew what kind of people he was working with. He knew that these people were already indoctrinated by, a lot of them, by religion, drugs, society, the kind of people who would say, professional wrestling is real. They really do that. I remember seeing, I was a teenager and Friday night wrestling was on TV. And I remember thinking, who buys this? Who believes this? And I went to school the next week and I told my friend and she said, oh, it's real. My brother and I are going to go to a show. And I was like, oh my God, she thinks it's real. That's the thing. 45 knew who he was dealing with. Elon Musk knows who he's dealing with. I can do anything and they'll still support me because they're not thinking in logic. They've already lost that part of their brain, or it's just never been in them in the first place. Maybe a lot of these people in the cult don't have the ability to have logic, and they're literally being used. That's kind of sad. And the rest of us, we're blessed with logic. Thank God we have it. Anyway, at this point, if nobody's going to stop Elon Musk from sending satellites all over the place, no one's going to stop him from buying Twitter, what do? Well, thank God for things like Threads. That's how you show it. That's why I left Twitter. I don't care that Twitter has news, and I understand it was hard for me to leave Twitter. Like I said, I have a lot of Gemini, so I like to have that, the read the news. It was hard, but I also knew who I was supporting if I stayed. And you are who you hang out with. And I wasn't going to help Elon Musk, who helps Putin. And guess what Putin does? Guess what he did? He had children raped and killed and run over by tanks and kidnapped. Spirit told me, right when the war started, Spirit said, Putin is a killer and a rapist of mother and children. And they said, what did they say about 45? 45 was a rapist for entertainment purposes only. A usurper, criminal president, and a rapist. That's what Spirit told me. And who is Elon Musk? That's right. I'll have to print it. They told me that he's a violator of humanity and Earth. No one's stopping these people yet, but you can help stop it by not being on Twitter, not buying Tesla, not helping him, not protecting him. We can stop it because you are who you hang out with. You are who you buy from. Don't buy from Temu. People, quit buying from Temu. I told you from the very beginning, don't buy from Temu. China, stealing our economy. Children, labor. Don't buy from Temu. Don't buy and don't help Elon Musk. Thanks for listening. Bye.